Just like to thank everybody for joining this evening and walk through some of the questions and protocols that we've got scheduled for this weekend. And like to thank you all for coming down to the meet, and we'd like to thank the North Shore Aquatic Complex and the Spa Aquatics for hosting the meet. We will be selecting juries, both an eligibility and a technical jury. We will notify those present at the meet on Tuesday, but just to kind of give you guys a heads up that we will be asking for both a coach, an official, and an athlete representative. I'll identify those and reach out to those individuals.
Which is meeting is right now.
Oh.
And once again, could you please mute your phones if you're not speaking? Thanks. Our administrative referee will be Mark McCaw. Our head starter, Mark comes out of Florida. Anissa Kanzari is our head starter out of Ohio, and Adrian Cardwell will be our team lead chief judge, local to the North Shore Complex. We do want to go over some changes that happened that were blasted out in the email relative to the distance events. We want to make sure that we walk through those again. So Tuesday distance events, there are no changes to the meet notice. It is timed finals, seated, fast, slow, alternating women and men. Saturday distance events, again, will be timed finals, seated, slow to fast this time, alternating women and men to finish approximately at the start of the finals warm-up. Timelines for the distance events will be published after Friday night's scratches have been completed. As a reminder, relay names will be due to the admin referee no later than 30 minutes following the start of each final. Okay, I'm sorry, for the distance events, let me just go back and as a reminder, the fastest heat of each event will be the first heat in finals that night. Back to relays, all relay names will be due to the admin referee no later than 30 minutes following the start of the finals for each night's relays. Those relays are negative on the prelims, sorry, we don't have any prelims. In the event that there are swim-offs, the admin referee will be responsible for setting up those events and the swim-offs. So please listen as we announce in the event that we need coaches and or ensure that we've got your updated phone number on your entry file. Scratch deadlines are per the meet notice. Talked about Tuesday's events are due by no later than 3:30 Tuesday. Wednesday through Saturday events, 6 p.m. the night preceding the event will be the required time to identify any scratches for the next day's prelims. Any scratching from finals, we will be notifying, we will be announcing the current set of finalists after each wave. And each wave will have 30 minutes after those qualifiers are announced in which they can declare their intention to scratch per typical protocol.
I hate when people are.
I want to remind athletes that qualify for a finals heat and do not report to the event will be barred from their next individual event unless they are relieved by the meet referee, which would be me. So please, if you have an athlete with some type of injury or emergency, please let me know as soon as that happens. For the events, we will be running flyover starts. We are asking that your competitors remain in the pool until the following heat goes off the blocks and starts their swim. The next up heats will be behind the timers until the short whistles are blown. And when short whistles are blown, athletes will approach the starting blocks. We do have Colorado backstroke ledges for this meet, and they are the responsibility of the athlete to set if they choose to use them. Okay. Our finals events are listed as the C or bonus final, followed by the B or consolation final, followed by the championship final. Reminder that there are finals for each event in both the senior category and the 16 and under category. As a reminder, please make sure that athletes do not take audio-visual recording devices, including their cell phone, into the changing area or restrooms. Individual restrooms will be available. Locker rooms will also be available for athletes that need to change in and out of suits. Okay, remember, deck changing is prohibited. We will not be doing a formal awards presentation during the program, but they will be presented outside the facility and the location will be distributed to you at the start of the meet. Warm-ups are available in the competition pool and the back warm-up pool. We have approximately 30 lanes available for warm-ups during prelims, 32 lanes available, I'm sorry, for warm-ups during prelim. We ask that the lanes be capped at 10 athletes per lane, 5 per side, and please be mindful of the time set in the competition pool. Pace and sprint lanes will be available according to the meet program warm-ups. Included in each program listing all the events of the session will be the seated timelines. We will also be including the sessions after that as well as final sessions to allow, so that you should have both the current sessions timeline, the following sessions timeline, and an overall meet timeline in each heat sheet packet available. But we will continue to update those and post all heat sheets and results and timelines at fastswimresults.com, as well as Meet Mobile will have the updated preliminary heat sheets and final heat sheets when ready. As a reminder, 12 and under athletes, tech suits are banned. So any team that is traveling with a 12-year-old athlete, which was the youngest eligible age to enter the meet, please remind them that the tech suits are banned. The officials will be notifying coaches if we come across an athlete that we have questions about the suits to ensure that they are FINA certified and appropriate suit. Currently, we are only offering time trials on Wednesday, given the timeline and the time frame that it takes to reconfigure the pool between prelims and finals. We will have, again, Wednesday only. We'll be limiting them to an hour's worth of time trials, with entries being accepted at the admin table starting in the morning on Wednesday. Reminder that time trial entries do count towards your daily or meet event limits. There are some concerns about the venue parking because of the wave structure. We imagine that there will be some congestion in the facility parking, but as a reminder, there is street parking available. Please obey the street signs. There's also a lot 2 blocks north of the pool, which is in the same North Shore Park complex, which has additional parking. So please make sure if you have athletes being dropped off, probably a good idea to remind parents or chaperones to drop the athletes off and maybe look for parking at the far parking lot. Okay. We talked about results posting being on Meet Mobile as well as fastswimresults.com. And emergencies we have on staff, the entire lifeguard crew will be handling any type of emergencies. So please, if you or an athlete is in need of some medical assistance, we will find a lifeguard for you. There are a couple other protocols that we want to review relative to the North Shore Complex requirements. Let me pull those up and share them. All of the documents that we're using today will also be published later online, as well as a recording of the conversation we had today, so that coaches, if you need to go back and revisit some question that you had or look up some specific information, it'll be available for you. Okay. North Shore COVID protocols. Social distancing and wearing a face mask will be required by all participants and spectators at all times inside the facility. Failure to comply with the result will result in the removal from the facility and possible closing of the bleachers due to the limited space. Spectators will be encouraged to cycle in and out of the facility after their swimmers' races, and food and drink are prohibited in all spectator areas inside the facility. If you're not on mute, can you please make sure that your phone is muted or your microphone is muted? Thank you. The pool deck in the facility is limited to only swimmers in the current session. All spectators will exit the facility at the end of each session and will be permitted in the facility a few minutes before each, that should be each race. Each session, we will start to open the facility, and we ask that spectators only watch their athletes race, and then they'll be ushered out. We'll go over the traffic flow protocol coming up in a minute. For teams, there will be a couple different places to stage. On the back deck by the bay, we're allowing teams to put up tents and congregate together. Those individuals that are alone, the concrete is blocked off into about a 3-foot square. So we are asking, one athlete per square, or in the event that you have teams that are together, your teams can be congregated under their team tents. All non-spa swimmers will enter the pool and exit the pool by way of the front gate following the traffic patterns. The host club will be coming in through a different access. We will have competition staging. When I get to the traffic flows, you'll see those. And the swimmers will enter the competition pool by way of the play pool gate, where they'll be staged, which is towards the back of the warm-up pool. Heats will be staged and forwarded to the blocks. Reminders that your athletes should have masks with them.
Listen up a little.
I'm sorry.
Huh?
You think they're gonna let you in? I'll just jump in.
If you're not on mute, can you please make sure you mute your telephone? Thank you. As a reminder, swimmers must be wearing masks. Towels and shirts do not qualify as a face mask. They'll be also required to stay socially distanced from each other while in the staging area. At completion of the race, all the swimmers will exit towards the bay, and we'll show you that in the traffic flow. Reminder, the coaches are responsible for the conduct of all of their team members and spectators, and please make sure your participants are aware of all the COVID protocols. We'll go over the spectator policy. Okay, as we state here, that we are expecting to allow a limited number of spectators into the venue. So spectators will be allowed to watch their swimmers race only. They're expected to enter the facility just prior to their swimmers race and promptly exit the facility as soon as the race is completed. They'll be required to wear masks properly and at all times without exception. Mouth and nose must be fully covered. Those with health issues preventing the proper wear of masks should plan to watch the live stream outside the facility on their own device or on the screen that we'll have established outside. Spectators will be required to maintain 6 feet of social distance, and the rows are identified in the bleachers. Rows in the spectator stands are going to be clearly marked with a blue X, and spectators should sit on the X, one family or one same household per X. There's no food or drink from the spectators allowed in the facility. Spectators wishing to speak to their swimmers should plan to do so outside the gate in the fenced area, and spectators should not interact with swimmers in front of or next to the spectator stands, as it causes congestion and violates the proper social distancing. As a reminder, we will have marshals who are parent volunteers, and they're there to make sure that everyone complies with the published guidelines. Please treat them courteously. And those unable to comply with the published safety protocols for any reason should plan to watch the event from outside the venue. Those determined to be non-compliant will be asked to leave the facility immediately and without warning. Tents and chairs are acceptable outside the fence, but county social distancing requirements must be adhered to. And it strongly encouraged the parents set up outside the tents to be able to view the scoreboard and the live stream or meet on their phone, and then enter the facility just prior to the swimmers race. So the facility's been running meets like this for the last several weeks, and we expect that after the first day's worth of congestion, we will get this kind of figured out, and all of the spectators, athletes, and participants will kind of understand the flow as we go along. Okay, let me kind of go through the flow of the let me show you the pool setup. Okay. This will be the swimmer flow to and from the pool during prelims. So you notice up in the top left corner, the water park pool will be closed, but to the right of that, the warm up, warm down pool is available for continuous warm up and warm down throughout the meet. You'll notice this yellow box in the center towards the right. That's going to be the swimmer staging area for the locker side swimming. So when your athletes are swimming in the locker side pool, that will be their staging for prelims. You'll notice the yellow box on the left-hand side, which will be the swimmer staging area for bayside participants, where they will come out and swim in the bayside pool. Once the athletes have completed their events, they'll exit the pool and back around to the warm down pool or to the team area. When we move into long course, this is the facility and the way the pool looks. So the staging area will stay the same in this top right corner near the locker rooms. Athletes will go off the blocks at this side in front of the timers. Once they've completed their event, they will exit the pool towards the bay side and or back to the warm-up pool, but around the long way of the pool. They will not walk again behind the timers. Talked about seating and where item. Oops. Sorry about that. Let's go back to the seating. Okay. On the far left-hand side, you'll see the team seating, one chair, one square, or where the teams can set up tents in this area. This is the back deck that does open to the back facility. On the outside of the facility, there's also space available behind the bleachers, which at the very bottom, you'll see the coaches, one square, one coach. We identify the entire side of the pool there. The bleachers are at the bottom behind that, in the center at the bottom of the page, and behind the bleachers outside, there's also space available for teams to stage. Same staging area exists when we go to the long course for finals. This will be the spectator flow. So the spectators will be coming in. The green box on the right is the spectators' entrance, or the main entrance to the facility. They'll come in the bleachers in the large center box. They'll sit, they'll watch their athletes swim, and then they will cycle out towards the bay area and exit the facility. Okay, we did have a couple questions. I just want to make sure that I've got those questions answered before I open it up, both of which talk about documentation, and we will share those and post those on the ISCA website, and including the recording of today's question and answer session. Doug, anything else you'd like to share? Okay, at this time I can open it up for questions one at a time. No, except for finals. There's no penalty for scratching out of prelims. Yeah. Okay. As a reminder, there is, right. As always, we do ask that if you have an athlete scratching from both any preliminary event or finals event, please make sure you notify the admin referee as soon as you know they're scratching. We will be doing, let's see what the next questions are. Yeah, late entries will be accepted at the clerk, of course. We are currently, the next question is about 10 lanes for men and 8 lanes for women, which was previously identified. We're currently working the timelines to allow 10 lanes for women as well. So we will have updates to that conversation coming in. And we expect later this evening, we will have updated preliminary timelines, which will capture those. Yes. 50s 50s will start, the starting blocks will always remain the same. The 50s will come back down. No, okay. Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. The 50s are starting at the bayside end of the pool for the 50 frees. And okay, all the 50s will be starting at the bayside for finals. 2 10-lane pools for prelims, that is correct. We are updating the timelines and we'll publish those. Finals, we have 3 heats of finals for each event for each age group. So the 16 and unders have 3 heats of finals. The senior events have 3 heats of finals, and there are 10 lanes that we will be publishing for each set of finals. So a total of 30 athletes in each one of the age categories will be coming back for finals. Scratches on site or by email or text. We can do scratches by email and text. We will publish the administrative referees' contact information as well as phone number and email. How many come back for finals? Yeah, we did it. How many scratches on site or text? There is no D final for 18 and unders being added at this time. The traffic flow documents will be available on the website. This, Doug, the streaming link, is that going to be available online for people who aren't in the area?
Yeah.
It'll go through Flow Swimming? Okay.
How's your replenish bottle?
It's on, yeah, it's on the ISCA website.
The Zoom. So I believe your age group is 16 and under.
Correct. There's a 16 and under and senior events. Will the traffic flow document be on the website? Yes.
They're going to run 2 10-lane pools.
Right. CBA will be the finals.
But 16 and under, and then seniors.
And then senior. Yep. Event order. The streaming link we talked about is on the ISCA website. We also have 3 finals. 400. Okay, hold on. Penalty for there is no penalty for no shows during the prelims, but again, we ask you to please scratch all athletes if you know they're not going to participate.
Are you all squeaky clean, Alex?
Right. 400, I'm sorry, there was an event about 400s. Those are 2 final events per. For each event, each age group. When is the pool open? Warm-ups are first come, first serve. And we are asking that teams, as we said, limit the athlete count to 10 athletes, 5 athletes from each side. There are 32 lanes available for warm-up during the prelim sessions. The last, I want to say it's the last 25 minutes will be set up for sprint and pace. Open for mornings first. Right. Swimmers sit in the spectator area. No, the swimmers are not to be seated in the spectator area. That's only for the spectators cycling in and out. Swimmers will be either on the back deck or outside the facility. I'm sorry. When will heat sheets be available? Which heat sheets? So we have a 6 p.m. cutoff for finals at finals for the next day's preliminary events. So as soon as they are seated sometime after that, during the final session or at the end of finals, we will publish those. Okay, as soon as they're available. Yep.
Where's your box?
Pool open where the heat sheets available. What water is available? 6:30 a.m., correct? 6:30 a.m. is when the pool opens for warm-ups. Same amount of time for. Okay, currently the waves, there is a 45-minute gap between the conclusion of a wave and the start of the next wave to allow for warm-up, as well as the back pool will be available for continuous warm-up.
Throughout the meet, right?
Throughout the meet. Relays are established in the meet notice, and I believe that they're only senior relays. There are no 16 and under.
Oh, that conflicts with the email that went out, that there was 16 under 200 relay and a 3, but. Oh.
Okay, I'm trying to keep up with the.
Yes,
Okay, what is the team with their cheat wave? Okay, can you change a swimmer from open events to yes? If you wait a minute, what do we have here? No, wait a minute. Can we leave tension chairs between sessions? Okay, the pool opens for warm-ups at 6:30. We talked about that one.
6:30 a.m.
Warm-ups will open for the B and C waves as soon as the event, as soon as the events from the previous wave are completed. If you would like to change events, you do have the ability to scratch out of an event and do a late entry into an event. There is an additional charge for those if you're, and you can see the admin ref to accomplish those. How late is the pool, and does the pool close after the meet, Rebecca? Okay, as soon as the meet is over, the pool will close. Right. There is time frame. There's about a 45-minute to an hour time frame that the facility needs to unwind the short course and rewind the long course, and vice versa. Okay. Tents and chairs. Can you leave tents and chairs between sessions? Okay. So we owe you the email and phone number in order to coach scratch. I mean, in order to provide scratches, and we will update that on the documents that we put out there. Warm-ups, best email to use scratches, and let's keep a list of these questions just to make sure that we've answered them. I think there's a couple that we may have missed. Okay, go over the flighting. Okay, the way the flighting is working is instead of, we have 3 flights. The intent is 7 heats in the first flight, 7 heats in the second flight, and the remaining heats in the third flight in order to limit the number of athletes in the facility at any time. The order of the flights will be, events are seated fast to slow. The order of the flights will be the fastest 7 heats are in flight number 2. So let's say heat 1 through 7 would be in wave number 2, flight number 2. Heat 8 through 14 will be in flight/wave number 1. And any remaining heats, 15 and onward, would be in the 3rd wave, which is the final wave of the day.
So does that answer your question? Does that answer your question?
Are they splitting relays into 16?
I believe so. There's 2 age groups.
So it could be, you are correct. I think there was one question that came out. It could be possible for an athlete to compete in multiple waves. That is correct. Would be the same as a non-multiple flighted meet. It could be the next day. It says it's their next, I believe that the wording in the meet notice, if you are a no-show for finals, is that you are out the next individual event. There is not a penalty no-show for the heats. Okay. We talked about 10 lanes for prelims, 10 lanes for finals. and that will be in both. Will flights be reseated after scratches? There's no seating at this point because everything is be available to scratch. So all of the flights will be seated each evening for the next day's events. All scratch. Let's see. Entries. For times, they're identified in the meet notice. Long course times are non-conforming times that are seated last. Flights be reseated, how the flow will be set up. And again, the copies of documents will be published. It looks like I don't have any other new questions. If there are no additional new questions, we will publish all of the documentation online, and we will publish this recording as well. Just well, okay, yeah. There was one at the bottom. Hold on, there was an email that really
Peter,
yes.
Peter, how will the pools be divided for prelims? Boys, girls, odd,
Correct.
even heats?
Correct. Men's and
So
women's.
one course will be men's, one course will be women's.
Correct. And then we will
Thank you.
alternate those. They will alternate those by days so that each gender has an even number of days on the opposite sides of the pool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I believe the admin table will be open tomorrow at noon. Time trials are short course only. And again, Wednesday, we are scheduling for an hour's worth of time trials. If an athlete has exceeded the entry limit, they can just, no. Okay, so if an athlete has exceeded the entry limit, they need to scratch from the event. If they choose not to swim, that will be counted as a no-show, and it does count against their swims. I think it looks like
They don't want people to
the
overshoot.
pool opens tomorrow at 6. The pool opens tomorrow at 6:30. Yes, you can. Yeah, tomorrow will be open for long course swimming. You can bring your own tent, as we said, and either set up inside the facility if there's room in the back, or just outside the facility, or behind the bleachers. We copy the documents. We're gonna send those, and I think we have captured. The pool is available all day.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, at 7, and it is available all day. Thank you all for joining. We'll go ahead and repeat the meeting because we did list that we would have a meeting for coaches available tomorrow at noon for anyone who was not able to participate. But if you hear from a friend or a fellow coach, let them know that we're going to publish everything online as well. Appreciate everyone's thoughtfulness and respectfulness to the facility's requests, and looking forward to a great meet.